Well, hello everybody. I am meteorologist Amy Metz, tracking severe weather around the globe, and today it is where storm chasers are that I've been working with. So Kyle Cutton has been live streaming both on Tornado Tackler YouTube and on his Facebook page. He caught some rotations, he caught some funnel clouds in this area right here, which is in North Texas. But now with service going down, he is out. I can see his position, and he is still right between these two tornado-warned storms where the cursor is. So I'll zoom in here. This is going to be, I'll get another map also open that shows the cities better. But this is right next to Happy, Texas. And now the one that's been on the ground longer is on the top of the screen here. So this passed over I-27 in the last hour when it was well over here still, and has been a long track tornado. There was some of this caught on camera, and there are reports of this being dangerous and destructive right now. So again, it's passing another highway, which is 40, through North Texas, near Amarillo. So I hope everybody's taking cover, everybody is safe there. Now what I'm going to do is get into some forecasting portion of this and give you some other views. There are still chances for more tornadoes to develop on these southern storms. It's been taking them about 15 minutes after the time they form to become tornadic. So it is very likely that some of these storms, and they're all moving northeast, could play out with storms. So before I leave the screen here, let's see if I can zoom in and also play this out. So I've been able to identify these storms which will be tornadic ahead of time. Ways that I can do that so people on radar with their phones can tell. Weather Lab has been my favorite because you can actually see the cloud heights. It's the tall clouds that are more likely to produce these. The darker the color, the higher the cloud. Then if it turns into white and purples, it's even higher, usually with large hail in this type of a storm. So there have been some hail reports. So everybody needs to be very wary, be taking cover on this portion of Texas just east of Amarillo, and then be on guard for all these storms to the south. Now the yellow here is severe storms, and a lot of these are turning tornadic. I would not be surprised to see a few more tornado warnings pop up out of here. So on to some other maps here to show the lightning. There's a lot of lightning out there, a lot of very strong lightning, so it's another thing to watch out for, mostly in Texas, and then I'll zoom out and show you what's going on to the north too, because the people are in a lot of severe weather there as well. But just an insane amount of lightning with these storms. I'll get into the Ys with some space weather information in just a moment too. But just to the north of that, going through Kansas, there will also be a lot of lightning, and also into Nebraska. So the further north we're going, the colder it is. Once it gets too cold, it's much less likely for lightning, like in Nebraska, but on that borderline, there's still plenty of lightning coming in now, and it'll keep on coming in. So the darker red zones here, watch out for those on your radar if you're anywhere in Texas, because these all have potential for a tornado, especially when they start to veer away from each other, like you're seeing the radar do here. It's almost like a V shape. And the more close it gets to the red with those shapes, now this one here is not, it's a little bit smoothed out, so it makes it harder to see. But these gap regions like this, these little V notches that happen, hook echoes, that will all indicate a higher probability for tornadoes. Again, right here where we are likely to be seeing more tornadoes right now, they both had warnings. And then as we go further down the line, these ones are newer. So as they keep progressing, and if you're near here, like let's say Big Spring, I would say this would be the next place to be on guard, wondering, and these ones are moving a little bit more east than north on the south part, but I would be watching for these areas that start to notch out and make little V's, because that could very likely turn up a spin. And then a couple spots here were turning purple, one moving near between Garden City and Stanton. So the purple is, again, higher cloud tops, more likelihood for hail, more likelihood for tornado. Another thing that I really love using is this College of DuPage. So when it came to forecasting, I am very big on this especially the upper maps. I choose data rather than forecast models because I am a forecaster, and I noticed through school that I did better if I didn't look at the models. And so I'm going to give you a couple of reasons as to why I called these storms today. First of all, there's quite a bit of moisture, not on the 700 where it is there, but on the 850. So really I should go to this RAP meso-analyses. And there's a lot of products here. RAP meso-analyses under weather analyses tools on weather.cod.edu. So we were, if you wanted to see too my write-up, I have a page on Facebook called Weather Woman. So you can look that up or find my profile, Amy Metz, and I share both of these. It was the jet level that showed me there would be a lot of action here. This is what's called the right exit region. This would be the entrance for the jet, the exit for the jet. The stronger winds are in the red, and so anything coming out of here has a more likelihood for severe weather on this exit region. That'll be the right side. So that is right over where we're seeing the weather now, where there are tornadoes. Then going back to some other maps here, another one I had used this morning was the divergence. So one of these shows divergence. Here we go, 300 millibar divergence. Now this is high up in the sky, lower pressure, 300 millibars. Red is more divergent. That means that the air is moving away from each other high in the sky. Everything wants to equalize, so then in that case, air will lift up from the ground area. When air lifts up from the ground, it becomes condensed, it becomes taller clouds, so that causes more severe weather as well. And then on the surface analysis, so surface maps is another tab here. There is one that has flux divergence. This is another indicator that, yeah, we have moisture and there's divergence. So as again, the same region here is all red. A lot really close together means that it's changing very rapidly with a little bit of space. So another indicator that something's going to happen weather-wise with severe weather. And there's even another one, where is it, that has low-level convergence. So moisture convergence. Here we go. That is very much the one I just showed, yeah. So here we go at the ground level. We're having moisture coming together a little lower than that jet level. So moving away, up high, coming together a little bit lower. All of that indicates upward motion, storms. So it was pretty clear to me that this would be happening. You know, another live look right now at the warnings that are out just east of Plainview. And again, now we did have another one. As I said, they would keep going south down that line of storms. Just north of Crosbyton, where there was a tornado yesterday, confirmed. So I was able to catch that one on radar before it came. And these two crossing I-40 that have been under watch. So here I'll read off real quick before I jump into the space weather forecast with all of that information on lightning. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado watch until 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. This includes 13 counties in northwest Texas: Cottle, Crosby, Dickens, Floyd, Garza, Kent, King, Lynn, Motley, Stonewall in the Panhandle of Texas. So those will all continue moving northeast. Childress is another major city there that will be affected. And I would not rule out these storms down here to also have a quick spin up. But everything is much more likely, as we saw with those maps, that there's going to be a lot more very fast moving together down below, moving up high in the sky, up in this Panhandle region. Now jumping into space weather, there is a reason that there's a lot of lightning right now, just a ton. So we did recently have what is called moderate levels, very low. It's not quite a geomagnetic storm when we're seeing yellow, but it is more than the green in solar particles entering Earth's atmosphere. So these are charged particles. It's a charged gas, other words, a plasma, coming from outer space and affecting our magnetosphere. Now when it turns red, it's even higher, which we do have a minor geomagnetic storm forecast for 2 days from now. So again, we could see another uptick in lightning. There has not been a major plasma ejection lately, but there is, out of these dark spots, the coronal holes they're called, fast-moving solar wind. Now, solar wind has just recently been tied to lightning production. And I have been tracking that when CMEs, like these bright spots on the sun, happen to blast off plasma, we can see on this coronagraph that there would be kind of like a light bulb looking thing, or sometimes even a full ring of light around this whole sun. The white circle here is what indicates the sun, and this particular analysis blocks out the light from the sun so that we can see the stuff on the outside. And that way, if something blasts off and leaves the sun, we have a very clear view of it here. And there's tons of other products to look at this stuff from. Some of these have to do with astronauts staying safe, maybe they're on the International Space Station. And then other things have to do with keeping our satellites safe. Maybe they need to go into a safe mode and kind of shut down so they don't get surface or internal charging from these particular storms that can leave the sun. But right now, I believe the biggest contender for lightning production and these geomagnetic storms, probably not likely to go into KP over 4, which is more intense, but staying down low here still will increase our lightning on Earth. So I do post a lot of that stuff here on my page, Weather Woman, on Facebook. So I've been putting up warnings here. Also, Kyle Cutton, I share some of his stuff here, that he is in the field. Here was my forecast from earlier today that I kind of went over with you guys now, showing you where that exit region is, divergence up above, low-level convergence, and a lot of moisture, all pointing to this area having tornadoes. So unfortunately that is happening, and this is where Kyle Cutton was live today.
Tornado warning storm out here at Hale Center. This is
near the end here. We've got some good stuff. So go ahead, check this out if you like on Facebook, or go to Tornado Tackler on YouTube too for more information, up-to-date stuff here. And I hope everybody's okay. I know some of these areas are quite populated. A lot of this passed through fields, so that's the good stuff. That's what we hope for. And, people are still out on the ground chasing these carefully to let people know, officials know if they should actually say this is an on-the-ground destructive tornado, take cover now, and really sound the alarms like we had to do for this northern portion here that is now passing I-40. So hopefully everybody stays safe. I know there is going to be damage out there, but I hope there's no loss of life today. So enjoy the weather, even these scary parts. Some people have a thrill for this adrenaline rush, and others are just scared to death. So if you are worried, just take cover in these areas. Everybody should be taking cover in these areas as these storms continue tracking northeast at about 45 miles per hour. Again, I'm meteorologist Amy Metz. Go ahead and subscribe to keep updated. I do check things out around the globe, and this just happens to be the most crazy place right now. Once we hit hurricane season, I'll be tracking that. I'm afraid it will start a little early this year because the North Atlantic Ocean, all of the Atlantic, is already above average temperatures. And we've already had a couple little spots that kind of started to rotate out there on the satellite, which I'll go to now just to give you an idea of what I mean. But these fronts, they'll come and knock into West Africa. And so when this kind of thing, a tropical wave, it's called technically, when it hits the coast here, it can create kind of a spinning action here. And now that we are a little bit above warm already, what happens is then these things drift this way. And that has to do with places on the globe. This is underneath 30 degrees latitude. Most storms will move this way there. And then above 30 degrees, between 60, they usually move this way, eastward. And there's other factors like water vapor that are used for me to analyze exactly where those storms will go. I was able to call Hurricane Laura before it was even on the radar here, before anybody was talking about it. And I let Kyle know exactly where to go almost 2 full weeks in advance. So that is definitely my specialty. I love doing this, and I'm continuing to study space weather so that I can help provide better forecasts, more accurate information than what the computer models are able to, because they do not add in solar effects. So last year we did not have a lot of solar effects during hurricane season, but I think things will be different now because of the solar cycle we're in. And if you want to hear more about that stuff, go ahead and hop over to my page, Weather Woman on Facebook, and I share a lot there. I'm starting to get a little more vocal in my other groups. But besides this, let's all stay prepared for days ahead. There is a lot of moisture traveling into Southern California, where there were about 2,000 people evacuated. Hail for the third time this year at my mom's house in Southern California, so that'll be right in this area. And right now it's extra windy. They're having a lot of snowfall, but all of this in a couple more days will be passing by and adding to the saturated ground, making it even faster flash floods than what we just had. Luckily, things are moving out of Hawaii. If you want to go to my YouTube page and see another video on what happened here, we had massive flooding, like 8 to 12 foot rise, and I went to a friend's house, helped her clean up, also got some footage, saw houses slammed into bridges, but luckily this big, humongous moisture patch that with our mountains ended up causing massive floods downstream, right to North Shore Oahu, parts of Maui, and then of course Big Island that's still getting hit, where they also have some severe weather moving in right now. So I'm glad we're almost out of the clear here. There have been some possible water spouts this week. I didn't see any caught on camera. They were on different islands, or I would have been upset I wasn't there. And luckily, before I sign off, since I've been doing a lot of reporting on the South Pacific, which was just having their cyclone season, they're kind of exiting out as we jump into tornado season for the United States, and the summer and winter start shifting this time of year. So we'll see more action in the U.S., less right here, but they're still getting a ton of rain. All of these bright red regions are where it's raining a lot. So that's Fiji, Solomon Islands. Fiji's actually over here, excuse me. And now the Solomon Islands are getting tons more rain. New Caledonia had a couple scares with cyclones this year, damage there. Fiji as well, even worse. But it should be about over now. There's still a chance for something, which is why I wanted to kind of just let this play out. And I don't see anything circulating at all. And in this part of the world, I'll go the other way. They actually spin clockwise, the low pressure systems. But, there's been a lot of probability over here, and luckily because land is there, it already has the wind shear introduced right away. And then a ton of storms, here's one of them, have been in the Indian Ocean, but luckily Madagascar, they had a couple hits early on in the year, some flooding, not very severe, and then the last two storms that were tracking out this way, I was happy to say from the get-go they would not be hitting land, and they're not. So here's the latest one, and it could wrap up cyclone season for this part of the world right now. Keep an eye on that, and I'll keep updating here as well as my Facebook page and see what I can do about getting back on Twitter and Instagram. I don't go on there as much, so I just hope everybody's staying safe, and in case another one popped up, I'll take a look here, all under tornado watch now, like I was saying from the beginning, I would be curious about. And that'll load in just a moment there. So it looks like the same places with tornado warnings now. Well, enjoy the weather. And before I sign off, in case there's any new ones that aren't picked up on Weather Underground yet, I'm checking my other sources. And yeah, actually, even newer, there is one, another one on Floydada now. Floydada, I'm not really sure. It's just over 207, which has another one and is showing there. So I'll take this radar off so we can see this a little better. Yes, all four of them are showing here. So this is what I'm getting on both sources. This is the most up-to-date, but I do believe Crosbyton could be having a tornado coming up here too. So what's yellow could very well turn red over Crosbyton here. And then since I can see more cities on this, we'll say Clarendon. Clarendon is next in line for this tornadic cell. And then Pampa, as we can also see here on the map, on the other side of 40. Again, stay safe. I hope everybody can get through this okay. And if you want some live looks, go ahead and check out Kyle Cutton. I'm going to actually go ahead and see if I can find him being live again. I know they had such trouble with cell service. There's a little box he can buy for $1,000 that could keep him going live. But right now he was using hotspot. So Just the latest one, it does show tornado. I'll be quiet and let this play a little bit, show you what he was seeing. So this is the tornado that was on the ground. It's rain wrapped, hard to see, but it's out there, wide, just went over 40 and on its way to Pampa. And then the other cells were developing just behind him in this view, a little bit to the other side. So he was safely positioned in between and staying between these storms, hopefully able to catch good imagery to help us all study and learn. And here's my baby. So I'll go and give her a snack now. Someone else is hanging out with them, but she always comes to me for food. So I'll talk to y'all later. Stay safe and enjoy.